Okay, got it. All right, hi everyone. Doug, Carrie, and I will be working through some things here for you to think about as you plan for the migration to our new digital learning environment. So the first couple of slides, hold on. So the first couple of slides, we'll just, show you again who your support team is. What does DLE mean? And again, a very high level migration timeline. What we mean by prepping a course and a lot of things to think about. And then of course we can entertain questions.
Sorry, real quick, Teresa, you're not sharing your screen.
All righty then. Hold
or
on.
At least not the presentation.
What the heck what did you see?
PDF of something.
Oh, okay. That was just some reading. Yay. All right. Hold on. Something is not right here. There we go. All right. Hold on a minute. Technology is a wonderful thing. Except when it doesn't work. All right. So I'm going to go do this. We're going to share the screen again. All right, let's try this. I don't know if you're seeing, probably not. Hold on.
I am seeing the, well, now I'm not.
I know I stopped it because I need to do I need to clean up my screen. I had just gotten a phone call before this, so I apologize. Cars are a wonderful thing, except when they don't work, All right, let's try this one more time. There we go. That's still not showing, is it?
So I've got the first, I'm getting the slide, not the slideshow.
All right.
So if you just go to your interface for, okay, now I've got today's agenda as a full screen.
Thank you, Doug.
Yep. But you're losing my wonderful picture of geese.
Well, I had it, sorry. All right, so I'm going to go on to the next slide. So we've all worked with many of you, as you know, that's all of us who support the digital learning environment, Kathy, Doug, Carrie, and myself, as well as Nicole Decker and Greg Ketchum. They also help out with that as well. So one of the things we did want to just mention is what we mean by the DLE, or the digital learning environment. And this is the definition from SUNY. And it's basically the LMS and all of the other pieces that go along with it. So this would be all of your other tools, such as Panopto, Ensemble, your publisher resources, what have you. So it's all of those pieces plus the underlying architecture. So all of the IT stuff that goes along with it. So it becomes a contiguous environment as opposed to separate components. So this is just a very high level implementation timeline. Again, for those of you that may not know, SUNY Oswego is in the first cohort with 29 of our other campus colleagues. So this is a huge undertaking, but Desire to Learn has done this before. So we have all the confidence we need to be able to make sure that this will be a successful migration. So we had applied to be in the first cohort on December 15th. And the rationale behind that was to help steer those decisions being made that support our campus. So being in that early cohort really can help steer where things go and how things happen. SUNY accepted our application on January 4th. So that was right around the time we were notified. So this is our timeline. There'll be a bunch of things we're setting up for implementation for summer courses. Multi-factor authentication still needs to be set up. And there is another session, I believe, sometime next week on what multi-factor authentication is. And I'm not going to go into that here because That's outside the scope of this, but I did want to just mention that there are some things that have to happen on our end before we move forward. We're looking at a soft launch for summer 22 in preparation for full migration in fall of 2022. So this is a sample implementation timeline that SUNY has provided, because this was their initial thinking. And so between now and say April, there'll be all the planning, the IT and academic preparation. In May through August, we'll start the training for the pilot as well as the early adopter faculty. So that training will be starting for the local system administrators. So that would be Kathy, Doug, Carrie, myself. That will be starting probably in February. And then there will be training for IDs and early adopters. And then we can start moving forward. And then, in September through December, we'll be doing the production cutover to go live. And we just have to remember that our Blackboard contract ends in December of 2022. So it's in everybody's best interest to be off of Blackboard as soon as they possibly can. So one of the things I did want to bring up before we move any forward is record retention. And these, some of the things you might want to think about are downloading your grade books from some of your courses, your older courses that have since been completed, and also downloading any student work that you may want to keep for maybe for reasons outside of retention, such as student recommendations. Just be aware, we are looking at the best ways for you to be able to maintain these records from Blackboard. So more information will be coming soon on that, because there's still a lot of unknowns as the support team is still learning the basics of Brightspace, and hopefully we'll be delving into that more as the training comes forward. So thinking about what do we mean by prepping a course? So it's like, it's house cleaning. Thinking about all of those pieces you might have in there that you're no longer using, or you're just saving because you think you might use it. So, thinking of the Marie Kondo way of doing things, does it bring you joy? Thinking about why you need to keep what it is you have in there. So these are just some example questions to ask yourself, and there's a lot of questions there. Thinking about what you need to keep and delete, consistency of layout, student wayfinding. In other words, can students find what they need? What might need to be updated? So what we did was we came up with a possible approach on how you might do this. So some of the ideas we had is you go through initially and clean out your course. Thinking again of these things, what do you need to keep? What can you delete? What can you store elsewhere? So when you're thinking about storing elsewhere, it could be on your own computer, through other places you can store things on an external hard drive, but thinking about those and just thinking about it in a way, is this something you really need? Is this something you have accessed in the last year? And using that to help guide you through that process. Then think about and look at the structure and the flow of your course. Is your module layout consistent? Does your syllabus need to be updated? Can students find what they need? And again, the reason why we're setting it up as these approaches is because there's a lot of work here. So it's thinking about maybe you only go through that first step and that's all you do for now. And that's perfectly fine. And then the last piece is, update, refresh your course, thinking about what materials could be updated that have a new or broader perspective, that maybe talk about new trends within your industry, or, things like that. And then could any of the course assessments or assignments be revised to be more engaging or used in group pedagogy? So again, it's a very phased approach or stepped approach. And this is just a suggestion. This is not how we're saying you should do it. But as you do work through this, these are two requirements you do need to keep in mind. And thinking about the updated federal regulation regarding regular and substantive interaction, the IDs and I will be doing a session on that next week. I think it's the 18th at 11. So we can talk more about that too. And then the other thing, as you think about these things, is ensuring multiple perspectives are being presented and thinking about the college's initiative regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, which isn't even just the college, it's also SUNY-wide. And then the other things we also encourage you to think about are, how much time will it take you to do this? So being cognizant of what other work commitments you have, but also what other life commitments you have. And then again, because so many of us have struggled with what's going on in the world with COVID and other things, thinking about that emotional toll of taking on too much. We want you to do this, but we also want you to not do it to your own detriment. We want you to be able to do what you need to do, deal with your teaching commitments, your research commitments, and your life commitments, because those are priority. And then doing what you can to get through your course. Some people will walk through all of those steps and more. Some people might get to the first step, and we realize some may not get to any. But it's in everybody's best interest if you at least go through your course and get rid of what you don't need. And also think about those things that are specific to maybe Blackboard. We're still finding some references to Angel in some of the courses. So again, just thinking about those things and looking at those and getting rid of where you can, as you can. So I know that was a lot of stuff, and it didn't take very long, but I really wanted to leave time for questions. I also did want to let you know that the instructional designers do plan to create a checklist just to help you walk through this. It will be a living, breathing document. So if there are things you see that we forgot or that you think should be included because they're important, we can certainly add them to the checklist, and we will provide that hopefully within the next couple of weeks. So at this point, are there questions, comments, concerns? Just remember, the purpose of this session was not to really answer any questions regarding Brightspace, but to more think about how we move forward into Brightspace.
I have as long as at the beginning, you talked about, making decisions about what you want to save and stuff like that. Are you referring to what we want to save from our existing courses that were in Blackboard, or are you dealing with what things we'll want to save going ahead from DEL?
Well, I think what we're referring to are, we know that there are materials that are kept over time. So thinking about old articles that are kept and may have been used, thinking about, because there are in some courses, there are separate folders that are only seen by the instructor.
Right.
And so it's working through those things, because that can add a lot of bloat to your course as it's transferred over. So those are the things you may want to think about. Are you using them? Are there other places you can get those articles or materials instead of keeping them within your course? Can you save them elsewhere? Again, these are just ideas and suggestions. This is not anything that is mandatory, Steve.
So yeah, just to build on that, what I would think about it really is going forward, what material are you using and have you used recently, which is what would fall under the keep category. But just reflecting on, is there stuff that I haven't used forever that maybe I don't need to keep anymore? Teresa was referencing old folders. Something I see a lot are old tests and exams that aren't used anymore. And they do slow things down, and they can generate errors. So it's just kind of a step back to say, what am I using?
It's also thinking about too, again, as you port your content over for this next semester, thinking about the announcements, for example. You know, do we need to keep all those old announcements? Should those be cleaned out beforehand? And then again, the other side is it's just remembering when you port your content over, do you really want to port that over with you? So it's thinking about those things. As Doug said, thinking about things you haven't used. You know, if you're thinking about it in the context of cleaning out your closet, for example, you know, what have you worn in the last year? What haven't you worn in the last year? And you know, donating stuff or selling it, you know, different things like that.
We did just get a question on the chat from Scott. Do you know approximately when training for fall 22 will be offered?
My understanding is that training will be ongoing as it's available. So one of the things, so for example, like I said, the training for, you know, the SUNY system administrators and the SUNY help desk is probably going to be starting here in the next couple of weeks. And then very quickly after that will be for this cohort 1 system administrators. And within probably a month of that, so my guess is probably starting April, there will be various types of training opportunities for faculty who will be in cohort 1 for fall. So those training opportunities would be things, for example, training opportunities offered through the Center for Professional Development, and obviously virtual. There will be opportunities for asynchronous trainings, you know, that are self-paced. There will be workshops available through the college's instructional designers and with Kathy Dutton. So there will be a variety of opportunities for that to happen over the next, you know, probably starting, like I said, in April-ish and continuing on.
Yeah, we'll be doing, and everything will be offered multiple times. So it's not going to be a case where you missed something and you're out of luck. Holly has her hand up, but Holly, you are muted, just to let you be aware.
Hi, sorry, just I'm slated to teach a summer course. So I assume I'll be part of the soft launch with my summer course.
If that's what you would like, Holly, you can be. I would just encourage you, if you do want to be part of the summer soft launch, that it's a 6-week course. We would prefer to do the 6-week courses in that respect, because it allows us the opportunity to work through some of those challenges we could be having.
Okay, so I'm actually a 3-week course, so probably will still be on Blackboard then for the summer.
Potentially, it depends on, and I think there's still a lot of pieces we have to work out.
Okay.
And if you're it depends on if you're teaching session 1, 2, 3, or 4. My guess is if there's a possibility you might be able to teach a 3-week in the later summer sessions.
Okay.
So
I mean,
it's something to think about, Holly, that's all.
okay, fair enough. And is it my decision, or is it the college's decision to say, yes, we'd like you to be part of the soft launch, or no?
Greg, I'm going to pick your brain, but I think in the past, it's always been faculty decision to participate in a pilot, never been determined by the institution, correct?
Right, and I think we'll follow that same model. You know, it's
Okay.
absolutely voluntary. You know, we're absolutely looking to those who want to move forward in summer, right? So that then by the time we do get to fall,
That's my thinking, yes.
Yeah, and we appreciate that, Holly.
Part of it when I only have 5 students versus 100.
That too, right? That's
Right.
another thing too. If you have a lower teaching load, then yes, as you figure things out, hopefully it will make things easier for you.
Right.
So, you know, as Teresa and Doug have said, I think we'll look at this and we'll try to obviously accommodate as many as we can, because we certainly appreciate everybody's interest in wanting to get started.
Okay, great, thank you.
And then Sheila had a
So,
question on the chat.
I know, I saw
but,
Sheila's question, but hang on one sec, okay?
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay, Karen, so that should answer your question about summer, because I know you sent Kathy and I an email, and you should, if you want to go ahead and be part of the pilot, I would just plan on it, unless something goes awry and we don't go there for early summer. Sheila, I hope that what Greg and I said answered your question as well regarding how you asked the criteria we're using for picking those courses that go soft in the summer. So there's opportunity for those who wish to participate in the pilot to go and do that.
So just email you directly.
Just email Kathy and I, because we're maintaining a list. So as things move forward, we can specifically reach out to those faculty, and again, let everybody know when those training opportunities are, but also making sure that the faculty who are going to be participating in the soft launch have those opportunities provided to them as early as possible.
Just I put my hand up, but I'm not sure what soft launch, what going soft or soft launch means. Is that just another vernacular way of saying what you're going to be, what's going to be on on DEL?
Well, right. So if you think about it, even when we went from Angel to Blackboard, we provided opportunities for faculty to be part of a pilot. So
I just didn't know what go soft means.
Right.
I'm not used to that lingo. I'm not.
Right. So soft launch, pilot, there are terms used interchangeably.
Okay. But basically, so in other words, there will be possibly some courses on Brightspace for the summer, and you will decide that at some point.
We won't decide that, you will.
Okay.
Unless there's a technical issue, there
That's
will be a
correct.
mix of Brightspace and Blackboard courses, but it will be up to you in the summer whether you want to run it in Brightspace or Blackboard. What we mean by soft versus hard is in the fall, you won't have a choice. You'll be teaching on Brightspace again, unless there's external issues.
Thank you.
Right. So in the chat, I'm putting a link. And for those of you that may not have had the opportunity to go to sign up for the sandbox and play around in there, this is the URL for you to do so. You just sign up, and Brightspace will supply you a course and an empty shell, and you can play around and just see what features are there. Please, please, please keep in mind that this is exactly that, a sandbox. Not all of the tools that we would have available are there. This is just a place for you to go in and see what's available right now in the base of Brightspace. So this is a place where you can play with the editors, see how they work, because they will help you, for example, as you build content to make it accessible. There's built-in accessibility checkers with it. So those are just some different things you may want to look at. Good question, Steve. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. The only other thing I'll add about the sandbox is the sandbox and teaching during the summer are two different things.
Exactly.
You can play with the sandbox and you have no obligation to teach during the summer. If you do want to teach in Brightspace during the summer, though, please let Teresa or Kathy know.
All right. Do you have other questions regarding, how planning for migrating your courses, cleaning up your courses, thinking about different things that go in your courses, and how if you're planning to do any kinds of updates or things like that? Do any of you have any questions regarding that?
Do you want to get that one, or do you want me to?
No, it's okay, Scott. It's okay. Scott, yes, you can make a copy of your course into Brightspace. There was a session Monday on how to do that. I believe there is some documentation through Brightspace on how you can do that. So, but yeah, you can, that's how you can, one of the ways you can go in and play.
Okay, I haven't seen Monday's session yet, but I'm planning to watch it.
Right.
So with your question, I think the only way to get to Brightspace is using the Brightspace sandbox is using the address that Teresa gave.
No, there is another way.
Oh,
There is
okay.
another way.
My bad.
Hang on. If
As
you
we
go-
joke, everybody in the ID team knows everybody. That was just something Teresa knew.
Huh?
It's an old saying. Don't worry about it.
Okay, you can also get to the sandbox by going to tle.suny.edu. That page will provide you with updates for what's happening with the digital learning environment. There are some materials that you will have to log in to be able to see. But remember, these updates are SUNY-wide. These are not specific to our campus. The DLE steering committee will be creating a communications page, as well as creating materials that are necessary for faculty to be successful in using Brightspace. DLE has been doing this for quite a while, and they have a wonderful depth of resources that we can provide out to faculty as they port their content, as they work through using the different tools within Brightspace. We will be depending on them for a lot of our documentation, and we will be pointing out to a lot of their documentation. However, there will be specific things that the DLE support team will create that are specific to our campus. Other questions or concerns or other topics that are based on this migration that you might have questions about? All right, if there are no other questions, if you do have questions, you can contact us at help@oswego.edu. You can certainly ask questions. You can request consultation with an instructional designer. We can, because we realize there's a lot of pieces at this point that are still unknown because we're in such an early state of migration. But I do think it's important that many of you do at least take a good look at your course and at least try to work through what you have there and the things you don't really need, just to make things easier going forward.
I just did think of a quick question.
Sure.
Just does the transition from Blackboard Ultra, is that going to be really much different than the transition from normal Blackboard? Because I'm sure you can understand my frustration, Doug. We had some issues as we tried to move my course from Blackboard to Ultra for this past fall, and now I'm moving it again from Ultra to Brightspace for next fall. So should the transition be pretty much the same?
That's again,
Tentatively, it should be easier.
right. And I think
But-
that's a good question, Steve. There in yesterday's call that I was on for, as we're starting to make this
Right.
migration, and it was either that or another thing I was in yesterday. My understanding is that the courses that are being offered in Ultra as part of the SUNY Online initiative will actually be in our instance, or our tenant, as they call it. So what that means is that those transitions should actually, as Doug say, be much, much easier going forward, because we will be managing them within our tenant or our instance of Brightspace, as opposed to it being managed by another group.
And I know you also remember the migration from Angel. Brightspace / D2L has a lot of experience with this, so we expect that to be smoother. And as Teresa pointed out, a lot of the issues you encountered were because of access levels, and that also shouldn't be an issue.
Doug, I still remember Lotus Notes, so.
I think a lot of us do. Those of us who have been doing this for a long time. You know, and again, I want to point out that we have a very experienced team moving forward with this. Everybody who is part of the steering committee, as well as the support team, have been through at least one migration, except Carrie. But you know, Greg, Nicole, Kathy, Doug, they have been through multiple migrations. I went through the one from Angel to Blackboard. So again, we all have some experience with this, and I want to think that it will be in some ways easier because of the amount of support we will be receiving directly from the vendor. Does that help, Steve?
Absolutely, yeah. I just, you know, I'm one of those, I'm at the age now where I'm kind of set in my certain ways, so.
Yeah, I get it. All right, are there any other questions, any other concerns that we can at least try to address? And if we don't know the answer, we can at least try to get you the answer. All right, I want to say then, if we don't have any more questions, then thank you all for coming. I appreciate that. Like I said, if you have additional questions or want to set up time for a short consult with an instructional designer, please reach out to us through the help desk at help@oswego.edu, and we can certainly work with you in that capacity. Great,
Okay,
John.
thank you. I'll stop the recording.